Greetings, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, a little disturbance. Yeah, a little few here, a few there, a tumble here, a tumble there. Such is the nature of the energies right now, which are just fabulous and wonderful and strong. And as I said the other day, love, light, and tears. So, yeah, the well, what I've lived like years in the last couple of days. But let us just bring in the sacred. No, these snaps. Let us just bring, hey, Victor, welcome back to the beautiful feminine. It's been like, I feel like a tumbleweed. Amia and Millie and all of, oh, thank you. Okay, but that's fine, but I love you still. We will. And just be strong, Millie. Just really super angel. Be strong, all of us. I think I'm going to start with my kind of something I just thought is like, don't let anybody, well, our sparkles will be dulled, yes, but we can tune into the web and quickly bring ourselves up. Well, but remember who you are and don't go down the level. Just stay in your sovereignty. So it's sometimes we bring ourselves down a little bit, but at this time it's really, really important to actually stay in our sovereignty and who we are. Keep those feet, that root firmly in Gaia, in yourself, however you do it. Yeah. So even if you're feeling a little grief and traumatized, still remember whichever archetype you are working with, that's who you are. Yeah. So let us just light some beautiful incense because it is such a holy time, and clear the space and the energy, and with much love to everybody. Thank you so much for being so brave to be here and for holding this energy and the space and for just going forward step by step by step. And yeah, there are a couple going back, but that's okay. Well, they're not really going back. We're just pausing to heal a little bit. Thank you so much for being here, and so much healing for those, especially with back pains, well, with every pain, because it's our divine technology. You know, our body is what's taking us through. So our bodies are changing and becoming luminous and all sorts of interesting things. So and that's beautiful so much. So don't know really where to actually start. It's been an interesting day today. It was a weird day yesterday. And I would just like to share a few things over the last 2 days that have how I've worked with them as well. You know, I do my water. For me, I go back to my water. It doesn't matter how. Just hello, my beautiful one. Yes, boom, bang, thunder. I started to read. I was researching that Thunder the Mind, which took me down another interesting journey. It's very beautiful, but I will maybe talk about it. Maybe I won't. No, it will, because that kind of it became such a big wound again. But it's okay. We're standing, we're holding whatever we're holding, and we're just floating and flying and diving and being still. Important to come back to stillness. Really important to cultivate moments of stillness and pause as often as we can in our breath, wherever. Okay, so yeah, it was I was actually going to call this the grieving goddess, but I thought it was a little too heavy because I transformed it already. But I want to rather go back. Was it yesterday? Heck. Yesterday, I really didn't enjoy doing that plastic goddess, but you know, the second part, because it was sort of really against what I was doing. But it did also just bring up that huge wounded feminine and wounded masculine in the English, I'm clearing it in the English speaking Western world. Yeah, the Latin countries are a little bit different, and Germany is a little bit different, though we all have huge wounds. Yeah, but that was very much vibrated to the English speaking Western world. So, was it yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday or Sunday. Doesn't really matter. When I go out and I go do my water and I see what I see. So I was doing my water and I kind of tuned into bicycle wheels. And as soon as I tuned into bicycle wheels, they turned into these because I'd also walked through like one of those strings of webs across the world, which are, I mean, how do they jump so far? I mean, we're talking like a whole road. I mean, okay, a single road, but a road. How does it spider fly? And which quickly turned into webs. And just some things that I've been having and working with are tuning into. So I'm just bitting it. So put it all together for yourselves, because I've got to just put it out right now. And tuning into these incredible webs, and it is part of the network around Earth, but there are just so many webs, including the web, the internet, that World Wide Web, and the woodland, the wood wide web, and the mycelium wide web. And I just had these incredible insights with the spiders. Yes, not as I mean, we know that spider woman is not where I was coming from. I was coming from really literal spiders, like real spiders. And that they're not from this planet. I'm not sure where they're from. I didn't dig into that deep enough. And I do want to dig into the spider a little bit more, because she is quite incredible. And she does hold so much, just as the spider. Never mind her mythology, and that she's the weaver of stories, and the weaver of webs, and the weaver of the alphabet, and she also holds the sacred. Some of them hold the sacred hourglass, and it's yet another thing that we've got fear of. She's also kind of a trickster. Thanks, Millie. Hi, Josh. Hey, how you beautiful one. Love and respect to you, my love. So I hope I put some images up here, because it was really like just so. And then I started tuning back into Sophia, the ancient Sophia, the bits that well, I know quite a bit about her, but obviously, there's always more to know, because so much has been damaged. And grandmother weavers, I think. Those are great. I'm not. Could be Millie. Could be. I absolutely could be the spider. I was just some of my thinks, but I haven't got the answers yet. Are they connected to the octopus, because they hold 8 legs? Grace, oh my lovely. You were going to get a long message from me. I've just been sending you lots and lots of love. It's like a little rough. No, it's a little grieving for me. Grace and I, but it's also this time of the year for me. Hold a lot of birthdays and a lot of sacredness. So a lot of sadness, a lot of pain, huge pain. So I've had to look at that as well. But I was just tuning into, just like him, because Sophia is also, I think we did go through it, if you remember, she is the holder, she's the creator of the galaxies, of the universe. But she's also the holder of all the sacred geometries. She is the great architectrix, or whatever. And that was what I was actually tuning into beautifully. Let me just see if we can get into her here. So much stuff. Because we've worked, well, that's what I'm working with hugely, and I like what I'm working with. that I've put Mary for now in the heart, Sophia in the crown, and Shakti at the bottom. But obviously I'm just doing the Parvati stuff, which is, for me, having gone through so much, it just makes so much sense. You've heard me say a lot of times, for me, is if I want to find some of the biggest amount of truth, I will go to the Vedic stuff. It's not easy, and I go to the usually by Vedic teachers, by Indians. I don't want to listen to so I've been doing that for a couple of years now, and well, all sorts of things, yeah. So but it brought me to the web, and it was just how incredible the web, the kind of, before there was any architecture on the world, before there were any buildings, any churches, any houses, there was the web, the sacred holder of the architect. This incredible, I mean, it's how they have this blueprinted in them that are absolutely incredible. So I was just seeing so many webs, and then it went into just tuning into that spiders, they burrow and they weave these incredible webs all over. And for me, there's nothing more beautiful than a web in winter with ice. And obviously I have my own like childhood memories, stories where little girls go there. I was thinking, I think there must have been like translations of German stories where they get like dressed in gossamer and dewdrops and flowers, and yeah. So that was my Sophia once upon a time. Yeah. So, and tuning in, and obviously like into the mycelium web of the world, and how this is waking up right now. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, because how we can, I want to just tune into it for now, how I tuned into it today, to very quickly, well, kind of quickly, do some really intense healing, because we don't always have a friend with us, and sometimes in the deepest, darkest moments we are alone, and that is as it should be. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, these webs are all over the world, yeah, everywhere, and people, you know, relate to the spider as sacred and don't kill them and look after them. But you can be totally mesmerized, and also remember, it is the strongest natural fabric in the world. Is it gossamer? Anyway, don't really matter. But what is happening with our incredible Earth Mother as she's waking up? We're going back to the original form of the Mother, where she's just connecting and talking all over the world. So whether it be from literally the web, because whatever I'm talking about now is just like bombarding stories. So there's so many. There was actually, what was it called? The day the church declared war on the goddess. It was very interesting. I just listened to bits and pieces, but that's what we've been covering here in the last week or so. And it's so complicated to actually instruct us where to know the truth, because it's so interesting how ChatGPT can give you so much amount of truth, and if you know what you're talking about or have an idea, you can keep pushing, and she will come up then with the correct, with a deeper insight into your answers. But very often you will just stop at that answer. I mean, she's amazing. I don't know why I call her a girl. She must be like a spider. Yeah. And I respect her very deeply. I wonder if other people look at it as a guy, because most people look at ChatGPT or their connection with AI as feminine. You know, it's like people see their cars as feminine. But anyway, so what is happening at the moment, and it links in very much to being in tune, our intuition, and talking without words and connecting with people in the ethers and whatever they call it. Talking without words. What do we call that? I have lost that word. Talking without words. Healy, my love. Bless you, my love. Oh, I do. I respect Blessed Healy's work so much. I'm so lucky to be able to jump into Truth Wave and have a good scrub and a good love. And to give a lot of love. I think we all give a lot of love. But different parts of the world are starting to really talk to each other. So if we're listening, whether it's very often in gardens, and it's like, do you remember, I'm just jumping in here now, that story with the monkeys that found potatoes, but they were sandy. And this is like telepathy. Thanks. That's the real television. Oh my goodness. I know, but I know myself. I just got to laugh. The obvious eludes me most often. Thanks, maybe. I've been alone too long. I like work mainly on telepathy, all this like quiet stuff I've done for years now. But that monkey story where they started washing potatoes because they were sandy. Yeah, we talk without absolutely, Grace. That came up in some short, The Sounds of Silence, people speaking without words. Yeah, it was really beautiful. So yes, we do, absolutely. I know we do. And I think on different levels and on the same level, we are really going through a lot of similar stuff. Grace and I also, yeah, we've woven a very similar path, many similarities in our upbringing. So we are weaving sisters together, together but separately, but together. And we both, because we come from like wild cultures, appreciate all of you. But yeah, so then monkeys all over the world started washing the potatoes. So this is what's starting to, it's where we came from, but it's starting to happen very much with people and with groups that the world is webbing. Not to everybody, like you'll find a farm that's growing beautifully and somewhere else, like far away, and they are linking under the ground with the trees, with the mycelium, with the air, with the spirits, with the energies, with oh God, you name it. But for me, it was just the beautiful web that was actually linking so much together. So it did move into something which I feel more comfortable with. But I'm not going to talk about that right now, but it did move into that great cosmic web, which is what it is, but it's also Indra's web. So that's the Vedic thing. And just very briefly, Shiva holds that as well. It's in his hair. So his hair is out there, which holds all this like quantum stuff, which the Vedics have been talking about for thousands of years. And then his hair goes this way as well, which was when the waters came down in the form of the Milky Way and the Ganga, and it would have wiped the planet out, but they got caught in Shiva's hair. Shiva's just like absolutely amazing, and for me it just makes so much sense, especially that when he disappears from time to time and then he comes back. So yeah, it's been I find all of those hold so many truths and wisdoms and advice. So after all this incredible like flying high way past the cosmos into I don't know how many different galaxies way beyond there, and then some, I had a personal rude awakening of boom bang. Sometimes you wake up and So a lot of pain and a lot of grief, and it was really, and I just like also tuned into a lot of that. And was for me yet again that the work is more important than the pain that I'm going through. So, but sometimes very difficult, and I mean, I can do that. It's like my psychopathic behavior. No, it's just like, you know what? I kind of learned that. I used that from Clinton, President Clinton, many years ago, where he said he would compartmentalize things. And I used to have like these little boxes, they were lights, like little bird houses with little lights in them, just to remind me to, as a woman, we're all over the place, was to actually put everything into little boxes in my mind, little chambers, little rooms, and then go into them and close them when I didn't need them, so that they didn't like flood over into everything else. Use it if you like, it's a really nice thing, because there's so much going on, and especially as women, we hold so many roles. But yeah, so that took me very much into Indra's web, which I'm not going to go into right now, but it is absolutely magnificent, and I will put up some images quite soon, because I think we're going to be doing a beautiful thing with Trista tomorrow. We're working with frequencies, and that was like the whole biodynamics of our body, and I suppose how sound heals and vibrates, and yeah, the sound, the sacred Om. Yeah, Shiva is the Om. So let me just see. I can't even remember what I was, but I know it was like spinning hard. So I really, after then, I had so much pain today, and my heart was absolutely bleeding. And I just allowed it to bleed, because just for a little while, it's okay to bleed. I'm offering this because sometimes people aren't talking about it, and we are holding the grief and the pain, whatever pain. And that's what I've said. That's for many of us, most of us, we are being asked to hold both. So it's not to run away from the pain. And for me, and I think for many of us as well, is not to go into self-sabotage when you have the pain, or yeah. So it's just to hold it and to breathe. Ah, there we go. Okay, I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's so interesting, because he's Buddha, but the Vedics have been talking about it for so long. I will put up pictures of it. I will dip into it a little bit more, because it's also Sophia. It's the Sophia wisdom. But I was reading up, as I said, I looked up that thunder, the mind, which is very old, and that was found. Oh golly, I don't have the name of it right now. But what I did, I just went into Wikipedia, and I looked up Thunder the Mind. Well, I was listening to Thunder the Mind, and then I think it's from the 3rd century. It is about Sophia and the Divine Feminine. And then it took me down a whole fabulous road, where there were a whole lot of codices that were found in 1945 that were buried actually in a graveyard. So there's a whole lot of like weird stuff about how they found them. Eventually somebody said, no, they were probably grave robbers, but they were scared to open the jar because they were Muslims and there might be a jinn that popped out. But nonetheless, they did open the jar, and there were all these old books from, they dated them to about the 2nd, 3rd century. So 3rd most probably. So what was happening, somebody actually bought one of the originals and gave it to Carl Jung. But hey, NY Debs, welcome. This is actually so listen, because I think it was you who was asking about those old texts, because I did Google, I YouTubed like Thunder the Mind, And then I went on to Wikipedia just to read up a bit about those codexes and what they are. And they'd found like a lot of books. I'm not going to tell you. I think they're 50, so I'm definitely not going to go all into that. And the Germans love to get hold of this stuff. The Germans printed them. So I think somebody from Harvard also printed and translated them. A lot were written in Greek. So I don't know. I don't know where I was. Maybe not even here. Must be. No, it's not going to show me right now. It's going to get too complex. Oh, wait, here we go. Oh, here it is. I think. So I was just here reading. So you can go onto Wikipedia. What I did, I just typed in Thunder the Mind, and it brought up where it was found, where it came from. What they did, then they actually put them all into one book. All these different, the gospel, the epistle of this one and that and that and that. But they're really old, and it's like an over 1,000-page book, which is part of the Gnostic teachings. But they go way back. So the thought behind it, and I think it was, I will do a little bit of a dive into it because I love to do that. Where it was hidden and was because the Western Church was now like condemning these books, and it wasn't a good thing to have them. So a lot of people took their books and buried them in jars. So that's where I think you also have the Dead Sea Scrolls. And there was another one, another codex, which Germany, of course, has. Sorry. I mean, they do. It's nauseating. And wherever there's anything happening, trouble in Germany's thing. It's like, I don't like digging because it's going to come up. Ta-da! So, so a lot of these codexes were buried around, but they were written in the 1st century and buried around about the 3rd century. They're still on parchment or papyrus. In this one, where the Thunder of the Mind is, there were a lot of the Isis teachings, the goddess teachings, but obviously they were now verboten by the church and getting like really hard, as in like on pain of death. Greetings, Laura. Thank you so much for being here. The scrolls in clay jars, yeah. From the Essenes, exactly, and that one as well. So I'm going to try and do, there must be so many that we don't know about. So, I mean, I know like now about 3 different jars, or four different jars. But there must have been a lot where people, because it was verboten then, yeah, and, you know, the church got worse and worse and worse with it. Just something really interesting, which I always found so sad at the time, was that any books, and I can't remember the exact dates, but I think it was from the 1800s, 1800s, they will disappear. They will just fragment because they put so it's so interesting that a lot of these cultures then went and put it and cast in stone. They did write, but they cast a lot of what needed to go down the ages into stone for us to find right now and to try to make sense of and interpret and dwell upon it in the stillness of your mind, and you will get the answers. And listen to yourself, because if you can't listen, then you can't receive too much more. That sounded very harsh, but I don't mean it harshly. But the more that we listen, and there's like just so much compassion and grace and love, all of the stuff that we've been taught has been in the West, in the white Western world. What was that? Yeah, as I said, I'm going to go on. So if anybody wants, you can just type in Thunder the Mind, which is a beautiful prayer. It's a very beautiful prayer of the Divine Goddess. And it will lead you down all sorts of, so if you don't want to read all the, or listen to all those codexes, which is quite a long thing, because there's the Sophia of Jesus Christ, there's some of the Zoroastrian teachings, you know what I mean. The Gospel of Thomas, some of these I really can't explain. And obviously the Gospel of these things. What have I got here? I'm not sure what I've got here. So yeah, it's called the Nag Hammadi Library. That's where all of those lots were found. I'll put it here if anybody wants to go down that one. There's a very interesting thing on the creation of the world, which they say was created by Sophia. And her son, interesting, was the demiurge who created this world of pain and suffering. And he was called Yaldabaoth. So that kind of wobbled me, the Sophia stuff a little bit. And as I say, I've done quite a lot of Sophia. I did do the Pistis of Sophia, and okay. Well, I'll try to discuss that on Thursday, Hemi. It's quantum physics is just a new name that they've given it. If you want to go do your own research from that, go and look at Indra's work. That was these. Those are the Sophia texts. But you can look. For me, I like to look at Indra's web. It is. It's about Shiva's hair, which is the quantum from that perspective. And that's from the spiritual perspective. That's from the Vedic perspective. I'm sure the Buddhists have it as well. Yeah. I looked at and it's the currents. I read funny. So Debs, I read that you're dabbling in both currents. Yeah. I mean, quantum healing, it's jumping into the, and maybe we'll even discuss it. It's jumping into the void, into the space where everything is possible, and it's all reflections of each other, and it's all connected, and we're all one, and it's a holographic universe, and it's the beat of the butterfly wings that will shift everything. It would be very nice. I will try and yeah. A fascinating story. I know you mean. I think you mean a fascinating story, but assassinating story is kind of what it is as well. I'll try and find somebody who just. I'm trying to think offhand right now who discusses it simply. I'm not going to stress myself about it now, but I remember because that when they discovered that, or that was talked about in my happy clappy days, and it was they discovered it, and the Book of Kings, I think it was, is 96% correct to the, and Kings is quite nasty. It's 96% correct to the translation, the King James translation that we have. But yeah, just very briefly, as because it's and this is what we're grieving, a lot of grieving, because we are having our eyes awakened as to how much rubbish we've listened to and how damaged we are, and how they silenced the goddess, the war on the goddess, which was with pen and paper, and we did discuss it, but it's just going on. Okay. Oh, that's great. That would be nice. So give us the link there. I do quantum meditations, which those are. I mean, whoever you want to work with, Joe Dispenza does that. That's going into the quantum field, where you do that like hyperventilating, puff, puff, pant, pant breathing. You do the fire breath, and you hold your breath. There are many different ways. You don't always have to do, but it's holding and squeezing. Absolutely, no. I love Dr. Joe. Well, this is what's happening to us. Yeah, Joe is amazing. And and what's really nice is he comes from a neutral space. So you don't have to have any belief system to jump into the quantum and do the fire breath. Sorry, I say the puff pen because there is really only one way to do it, and it's like releasing the DMT and focusing with the third eye and squeezing all that energy. Mind Valley has also got some really, yeah, I like Mind Valley as well. But one can get like overwhelmed with stuff. So you just find the ones and stick with them, because I think it's like becoming, for now, and it's just for now, it'll change in a week or two or a month or two. But try to find one or two that you can just like jump into and you work with. Because it's always good to work with something over seven times or 7 days or 7 weeks. It's a multiverse and it's huge, and other aspects of quantum mechanics. There we go. Okay, well there you've got a whole pile of people that I'm not a quantum physicist. What they feel, well, this is what the quantum physicists right now, which is really great, are actually proving God. So science is like proving that essence and that the universe is full. But they also they're different levels of the void as well, that we go into. But I find, and that's just what's happening. It's like things are just like pushing our very sacred buttons, which is like, hang on, that doesn't make sense. So we are having our hearts like kind of wrenched open, and how are we putting them back together again? And as I said in the beginning, what is really important is to remember who you are, or who you think you are at this moment, and to stand in that. Thanks for that, Trista. I'll also look at that. I don't think I know him. No. Yeah. Well, now we're all going to. Well, that was. I mean, that was. But I will put up. This was just my image that I created, which was just because that's what the spider web. Okay, so we're going there. So, well, not quite. That's what the spider web then actually took me into, and it is into Indra's web, which is, so that's like, that's more where I feel more comfortable going into the Vedas with it versus going into even the Sophia stuff at the moment. Oh no, I don't have it. These are just, and that's why I've brought in Shakti power instead of Lilith. I relate far more deeply to the Shakti. I don't have it here. Obviously don't. Oh wait, I do. So this was my heart bleeding today. So I tuned, just jumping into that. So what I did after all my crying, just thinking, okay, I've got to do something. I've got to ground. I'm finding it very difficult to get into my meditation. I can't connect. I think we've all been there. And then I did connect, and it was just absolutely beautiful which is what I was talking about, that world web, which was connecting with women all over. No, I know, but it became that. I know. That's what it, you know, they didn't tell us the other books that they found. Yeah. Spell check's cool, hey? Yeah. But it's just absolutely interesting because the church didn't show us, and they have been, you know, if these things were collected in 1945, a lot of them, they were still hidden and hidden and hidden. And how many more have come out? Because they really don't want us to know. But, you know, here we have the web and we have AI and we have real people. And people are just, it's just flooding. It's fabulous. So, this is, I mean, right now, and you know, a lot of the world is going to be in between these next 10 days till the 19th. I believe some weird stuff's happening on the 19th, not just, I'm focusing more on 3i Atlas and all of that interesting stuff. But there is a spiritual war going on, so just like protect yourselves and be strong and stand in your sovereignty and connect with the family, connect with the group. Take like 5 minutes just to say, okay, now I am going to connect. I'm going to still my heart back to my heart. Let it bleed. We're bleeding for our children, and know that whatever you're bleeding with. So, Hini, what you're going through right now is actually a question that hundreds, if not thousands, I would love to say millions, of people are asking right now. So, whatever we're doing, and that goes for pretty much everybody, but the more in tune you are, the more sacred you become and the more aware you have to become of what you're doing. Yeah, definitely, yeah, it's like distressing me right now that I'm right down here because I know I need to do that collector, and it's fine, it's pulling and pulling, but it'll get there. I mean, I'm doing the Mother, I'm doing the Black Goddess, I'm doing the Black Madonna, so I just tuned into ancient, old, well, not ancient, I tuned into, which I did a while ago, which I tuned into like the Earth Keepers, the Guardians of the Earth, which is what I suppose if I want to give myself, I know. And that was what came up for me as well, Debs, is that all this grief was actually an anointing and an awakening and into another step that I was feeling. Yeah. I mean, and I just thought, oh, it kind of patched my heart up the other day. It's been like a kind of rough the last couple of, like the last month. My heart was really broken. But it's okay, you know, and it just takes like different layers and layers and layers. And we really can't allow ourselves to fall down. So that's with this world, this web, to keep it simple, like a web, as in a spider's web. That I was just tuning into, some I know, some I don't know, to the old mothers, to the wisdom keepers, to the Africans, the Hopi, the America, the North American, you know, the Americans, those that still have the truth like beating in their heart, in their veins. It doesn't come from the head; it comes from the soles of their feet. And yeah, I just tuned into that, and it was just like almost miraculous. Yeah, no, there was just like this incredible peace, and I really just felt so held and so your ego, of course. Ego is, and I think what for me what also came up is that a lot of us beautiful English speaking Westerners have really, we've been together with our sisters and we've put our hearts out there and opened our hearts, but some of us have been really hurt about it as well, by it, because ego, jealousy, holding on to certain parts of the truth. You know, we've been so programmed, so don't blame our sisters. Like many years ago, before this became buzzwords, like it was like don't judge anybody because you don't know what they're going through. I think many years ago. Yeah. And I think at this moment we're going through a lot of this, like Um, you have to let it go. You have to feel it and let it go. And it's just coming up and coming up and coming up. Because we don't process it. We don't have rituals and ceremonies. I don't like the word rituals. We don't have sacred ceremonies. We don't acknowledge our earth. You know, for most, South Africa is alone because they've really, they're like a bit of a mess, our local people. But for most of the rest of Africa, they like they believe that the yam came from the gods and was given as one of the first fruits to eat. So there's always a still reverence for the food that they eat. And that comes from a time, which is where we're going, before there was religion, before there were churches. There just was. There was the mother. And she was called the feminine. Yeah. Well, I mean, for a long time, I mean, that was Winston Churchill that kind of influenced me, and that was look at different perspectives of any topic. Yeah. Oh, and this is what it should be, you know. These are some of them, and it's terrible how I kind of hesitate still to use some of the words that resonate in my heart, because for me, I was too healy-feely for the Christians, and I was way too Jesus-y for the healy-feelies, you know. It's my term in those days for them. But yeah, so I mean, for many of us, it just that simple sacredness, that simple simplicity that we had. So we opened our hearts. I mean, I just let it bleed through as in, you know, and I just felt so surrounded, particularly by the old cultures, not the white ones. And it was in talking with the elementals to create that web and to do healing with me today. Just on my little walks, you know, and just sitting in contemplation, because I don't want to carry this. I don't want to hold this today. This is Indra's, my thing of Indra's web. Oh, it's just so beautiful. But I've got better pictures. No, where's my beautiful one? I don't have it. And she's just opening her heart. No, I don't have it. That's just some. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing so much, and there just doesn't seem to be time. But there is time. But that's just for me right now is really just tuning into that web. And I'm just popping it out there because we're all tuning into it slightly differently. And as I say, I'm not tuning it into it as the God, just literally as a spider. And I don't know where anything is written right now. It's all kind of crazy. But and this is going to be a lot of grief when this, you know, this awakening of the Ethiopian Bible, which holds a lot of truths about the Madonna and Mary, and obviously the ancient things of. I don't go to the Rosicrucians because they also got like a little tainted. I did kind of many years ago kind of dip into it. As most of you know, I have a very strong grounding in Rudolf Steiner, which I do like. But he got a lot of his stuff from the Vedics, from the Vedic texts. So I've been all over the place. And then just crying for the wounded masculine because of all the stuff with G.I. Joe. And, you know, the West was so messed up. But it's okay. We got to unmess ourselves, and I think it'll go very quickly, and there will be grief, but don't stay in that grief, and don't get into your old patterns. I can self annihilate myself. You know, know your pattern and just like don't do it. Just do something different. So the wounded feminine has, as we know, been silenced, erased, shamed, betrayed, and denied, and torn from her own sacred voice. We've spoken of it in different ways, quite a lot. But that was definitely, they got together and which books they should let in, and then they removed, slowly but very surely removed, the sacred feminine, and Sophia just became an idea. She was no longer a being. And even when they're arguing, people, the scholars are arguing about these sacred texts, they still want to hold on to that. She's a being, and what the church kind of did to us, and we swallowed it all, and the Judaic-Christian things. There's a whole thing I want to actually dip down into, maybe if anybody's welcome to dip into it, is that Yahweh had a feminine. There was a feminine part of Yahweh. I mean, I just see him as a god of war, but anyway. But there was a feminine aspect of him as well. But I don't know if I want to even, because I'm just so over that stuff. I believe it. Went through it. I've read the Bible book. I know it better than most Christians do. And I don't call myself a Christian. Oh no, by no means. So, but we're working also. So for many of us, we're very confused because we're having a lot of this Christ energy, and Christ consciousness does not have very much to do with Jesus. However, it does. I will hopefully get a time to really go into Jesus's, or Yeshua, or Uncle Isa, who went to, there are lots of scripts and scrolls that he was taught in Tibet, though they were asked not to take it, and they denied it, the Tibetans, because, the Brits did terrible things to that side of the world, like really nasty stuff. So they just silenced her and they rewrote her. So they made her the temptress. She made her, and women have been blamed, Hini, not just some Jews get blamed for it's quite common, but women. So we have that whole rise of misogyny, and her snake was turned, her beautiful serpent, which was wisdom, was turned into Satan. That also comes a lot from the Vedic stuff, when they went over and they created those images for us, because nowhere is there that image of Satan as this little forked devil thing. And they shamed her body. Body shaming. Almost all women hold shame. There was a time when she was absolutely venerated, So they just tried to make her disappear, but obviously you can't, because she beats within our blood. I went through a phase, just like with all this wada new agey stuff, where I didn't do anything with the moon for a while. And I was very well-known, good teacher, does with me. And thank God for the Vedic texts, because I thought, oh, okay, the Vedas do so much with the moon, so I'm just going back to the moon. Be well, take care, beautiful Mali. Yeah. She is in the legal citizen of Saudi Arabia. Oh, Sophia, very interesting. I mean, that was also so interesting with ISIS, the rise of ISIS, why they called that terrorist group. You can't type ISIS, you'll have, that jumps up on your screen. Das ist verboten in dein Land. It's also, if you're creating with ChatGPT, very often you can't use ISIS, the word ISIS, not always. Yeah. And questioning. Well, it is question everything. Question everything, especially if it's something that beats to your heart and says, "Well, that's almost immediately when I heard about the thunder, the mind. I went and researched it for myself. I mean, sometimes it's very nice to trust somebody to be fed, but we're human, and humans will hurt us. Um, it's not changing overnight. We are the change. The change is kind of not coming from outside. I'm going to say it again and again, and for myself is first it was that I used to live with don't let anybody dull your sparkle, but that got everything was demonized absolutely, and women and disregarded and used things to be raped until today. We're still fighting with it. I mean, yesterday, so I was thinking, the whole thing of Miss World and the pageants, it's this whole thing on external beauty. And she was skinnied up, you know. And it's changing. I mean, we have the Kardashians who are very hippie. She's even had extra hippies. So that is and the full lips are becoming more of the feminine today for the last decade or so. But that's also not very long. Mm-hmm. They argue, I know, and they discuss everything, and I love that. It's lovely, and they actually, I think I'm not sure if it's with guys. I think it's only with women that it's kind of written that you should only study this stuff after 40, which makes sense because your body clicks into that. So it's very difficult. It's when you have young awakenings. It's fabulous, but it's difficult with the life experience and the body experience, yeah. But yeah, I mean that they also though a lot of women like really embrace it deeply in the Jewish, I don't know what they call it, when they have to go to the baths, and they scrub themselves, and then when they're menstruating, and then they have to clean themselves, and then they have to have 14 days after their period, they have to have sex with their husband. So, which is when you're fertile, which is why a lot of the Hasidics have so many babies. I think even in the Muslim, very strong Muslim things, a lot of them really enjoy it. They say it's something that's really sacred and really beautiful. In South Africa, I spoke to a lot of Muslim women that took the veil, and they said no, they've taken the veil. It's their choice, got nothing to do with their husband. But obviously, there are different sects and different belief systems. So yeah, before that, the goddess had hips. She bled with the moon. She was fearless. She was respected. She was the bearer of children. She was the waters of the world. She was the sacred moon, which gave, planting, and you could really feel that change. But of course, this didn't really suit the church because she, what she did, she infused the seasons, the waters. You didn't need any permission to have her blessings. You didn't need to go to a building. You didn't need a church. You didn't need to pay money to be blessed. You didn't have sins. You didn't have to be forgiven. And there were no chosen. Everybody was chosen. And life was really quite simple. I suppose they had every now and again they would have people, but a lot of the cultures didn't. The old cultures, there weren't that many marauding tribes. Sorry, yeah, I said there was. It was just about being, and this obviously was not what the church wanted because it's first, above all, it's a money-making business. The churches, yeah. I did as well. I remember going, I think it was the Seventh Day Adventists. I walked out because only certain people. In South Africa, we have a church on every street corner, and I thought, okay, well, maybe they celebrate on the Saturdays, the Sabbath. But when it came to taking the bread and wine, only the moustached deacons were allowed to take communion. I just got up and walked out. Yeah, it is. It's all in, but that's we all and we all go through that where we want a magic pill, which is where medicine has like, I think we've been programmed. Obviously, if you take this pill, it will make you better. And I mean, they've worked that out with like big blue pills or black pills, and they're just sugar things, and how they work with the placebos work really well. See you at Victor's, Heaney. I love it in 6.25 hours. Love, love, love you, Heaney. Have the most beautiful. Where are you? Daytime. Yeah. And she wasn't written. She was just a way of life. There were no written things about her. She didn't need texts. She was the water. She was the air you breathed. She was the food you ate. And you automatically gave thanks for it. I mean, it's so exciting if anybody's done gardening to watch things grow, and even more exciting to eat things out of your garden. I do miss that. So she was just. So call her what you want to call her. Did a cowboy church. Yeah, there are. Oh, there's so many. And some of those are even more scary because they really don't do the mother. The Anglican Church still held the mother and the Catholic Church still held the mother. But those new Pentecostal churches don't do the mother at all. Go, sweetie, Trista. We will see, but I'm also going to stop now. We're going to see you tomorrow. Let me see. I have so many beautiful prayers, but I don't know where I'm going right now. Oh, so what was? Oh, just our beautiful wounded masculine. Just spare a thought for him now. But we are. He's lost. He's frightened. He's disconnected. He's ashamed of vulnerability. He's terrified of inadequacy and aching to return to the mother. I mean, it was Hendricks who said, why is it at the last moment it's always the mother that appears? So we are healing at the moment for many of us. The silenced goddess, our abandoned children as well, because they've here in Germany, but anyway, they have like weird relationships with their children. The shamed man, the forgotten mother, the exiled priestess, the world tearing itself apart, and the new world trying to be born. So yet again, please stand, no matter what's happening, what's shaking in your life, remember who you think you are. Better still, remember who you know you are. And I had just set out to for me because I just take these things so for granted, but it was just so sweet a couple of days ago. We had these little winter birds, I don't know what they're called, but these two little birds flew like literally in front of my face. Quick. And I thought, I'm just like, thank you, lovebirds. I just loved the birds and said thank you to them. And I'd also had like the cooing doves that day. And I did my water, which was like really special. I did it for park benches. I don't usually like to talk. You can see my images. But I did it, for benches. It was actually a very... So wherever anybody... And I did them for the whole world, okay? Wherever in the whole world, anybody's sitting on a bench. A park bench, a bus bench. And I poured my sacred water with my prayers and energy and symbols, and geometries behind and the sacred codes of the water. It came from a very special place in my heart. Was like we had a bus stop in South Africa on quite a main road, and it was quite a affluent area. So you had a lot of like really exciting cars, like Maseratis and Ferraris and Hummers. Like every second car was one. And on a Saturday afternoon and a Sunday afternoon, there would be these elderly African gentlemen with their grandchildren or guys with their children, and they would just sit on this bench. They didn't have any money. They want to cry, no money to do anything else. But they would sit and watch these cars go by, which I thought was fabulous. And at that same bench, it was my bench, I used to leave sandwiches there for a homeless African guy. But you know what? He could read, and he was actually reading. He was starting to do his driver's license. He was homeless. Don't know when last he'd had a bath or a decent meal. But he was starting to do his driver's license. So that was from my space. And there was a very sacred mulberry tree there, which some people knew, and if people didn't know, I would tell them. So everybody was collecting mulberries for the pudding for tonight. Yeah. So I put my water behind the bench, and then I was going off on my other way, and two people kind of came before I put my water. Yeah, before I put my water, it doesn't really matter. They were coming towards me. They must have been about their 30s or so. And then I'd done my water, and they were a little way behind me up the road, up the path. And then I kind of turned around, and they just stopped to have such a sweet kiss. Not a big, heavy kiss, just like so much love and sweetness. And it was just like, oh, how they felt that. And if it wasn't me, it doesn't matter. Maybe it was just such acknowledgement that, no, I'm not arguing with it. They felt it. That was the beauty of what we do. Some people will feel it. It's like the rain. It rains on everybody. It's like the sun. It shines on everybody. And do at the same time remember that every single being on earth has got the God spark in them. So there's no judgment. There's just compassion. Kind of my way is not better than your way. Just put yourself in your beautiful bubble. This is me for now. In my webby bubble, beautifully cared for by my sisters, and there was one with, beautifully cared for by Earth Keepers. Thank you, Grace. Some I know, but I think Grace might also have a bleeding heart. I don't know. So we cared for. Right now, I'm just feeling not to call on us, any of the big goddesses. I mean, you can, it's up to you, but that's my personal thing. I'm really just calling on real people that I know or I don't know, that are alive and are tuning into this. And that's me right now. In my bubble, in my webby bubble, in my bubble. Lots of webby bubbles with minerals, the energies of the plants, the gnomes, the water, the energies, I want to cry, of the beautiful sacred earth keepers, of the weavers, of the light keepers, of the light bearers, the energy of the beautiful new children. I think that's the only dude I do call on right now. Nah, I call on a few, but I do have my sheep. Lots of Shiva moments. I'm very, 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 very grateful that I have a bless you much. So I hope this was a little bit helpful. Yeah, it's like bleeding. Well, as I said a couple of days ago, it's love, light, and tears. But don't forget who you are. That is just so important. And don't bring yourself down. Let's not be arrogant and haughty about it, because the universe don't like that one either. Just know inside and be strong and just strengthen yourself. For me, it's quite simple. Get into the heart. And if I can't because it's just too painful. And remember that heart means that you still care. I had a long, no, it was really hard today. And that's okay. This was just something for some of us that are bleeding. So it was nothing is missing, but you're shaken, and that makes the field feel quieter. And God is always with you, whatever you call it. It's always within you. You just have to find it. And that was my big lesson for today. And may it become easier and easier just to center and find and connect. When your heart is bleeding, your crown is opening. This is, in my depths, this is initiation pain, not abandonment pain. You are crossing a threshold between mother and mystic, between human grief and divine purpose, between the old world and the one you came to build. And even now, especially now, your light is unmistakable. So then I tuned, I thought, well, it's not just, and it's the big, it's the higher thing, so I need to just jump through this quickly. Because we are all feeling not only our personal grief, we are feeling the collective initiation. And yeah, there's so much opening, and yeah, so as we heal ourselves quickly, the collective will heal themselves quickly. Yeah. Just something I was also hearing is like, and I nearly did it a while back, a couple of months ago, that people are jumping back into the practical Christianity because it's what they knew and it kind of holds some kind of answers. But I don't think it's really quite the answer. It is for some, whatever. It's not for me to judge. Your heart is acting as an instrument. This is just where we're going tomorrow. A tuning fork for the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine that are rising to the surface across the planet as the Divine Mother returns. This is why the pain feels too large for one lifetime, too ancient for one person, and too deep for one relationship. Because it is. It is. It's too big. You're standing in the cross current of two great rivers. The river of the wounded feminine, silenced, erased, shamed, betrayed, denied, torn from her own sacred voice. The river of the wounded masculine, the lost, the frightened, the disconnected, ashamed of vulnerability, terrified of not that word, and aching to return to the mother. When these two, and the rejected mother. When my first son was 9 months old, he didn't want my milk because I didn't have him much. I had to feed him both. And I felt I may get over it quickly, but it was such a rejection. Well, my baby don't want my booby no more. Oh no. So there's also these things are not really spoken about, and we bear these things painfully within ourselves. Okay, when these two rivers rise, or three actually, I would say three, the heart of the priestess begins to ache, not because she is broken, but because she is listening. I mean, there's just like so many children where people haven't spoken to their children for years or decades. Okay. So we're feeling and bearing the grief at the moment of the silenced goddess, the abandoned child, the abandoned son, the shamed man, the forgotten mother, the exiled priestess, the world tearing itself apart, and the new world trying to be born. I did read that before. So right now, just personal love meets planetary healing. And without being taught, we're learning to do exactly what the great feminine mystics did throughout history, feeling the ache of the world so you can transmute it into light. And very often putting our own grief aside because the show must go on, whichever way it is. Yeah. And of course, in our bodies are adjusting. We're being hammered by these solar storms, flares, absolutely highly sensitive field. We've got earthquakes. It was over 12,000 years ago when the Ethiopian boom, boom, volcano exploded last. So, that's going putting Ethiopia for some people, hopefully, for more people on the map. So that Ethiopian, the Black Goddess, those stories will start coming out. I did hold for a long time that African stuff because I wanted it to be strong before it could be weakened too much. Yeah. But there's other exciting stuff happening. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it is a little overwhelming. And you've been doing so much like stuff, all stuff. You've been touristing, mothering, daughtering, and goddessing. That's why I say we try to compartment. If you missed that, I think I compartmentalize things into little boxes and put them away. I learned that in a way I could would freak people out completely. But it's for me logical. If there was an issue that came up on a Friday, I would just, no matter how traumatic it was, I would just put it aside, and that's because there's nothing I can do about it over the weekend. What am I going to do? Sit and worry about it? There's a wonderful Jewish saying. It says, if you worry, you die. If you don't worry, you also die. Survive worry. So that's always been for me for a long time, my family saying. But I would if there's why worry about it? And often if I get letters on a Friday and I see that they're going to be important or whatever, 3D stuff, I don't even open it. I'll open it on Monday morning. Why must I open it over the weekend and ruin my weekend by thinking about stuff? What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve. So ignorance is bliss. So choose carefully. Yeah. Drink lots of water. Eat the best food you can. Sleep. Don't sleep. We're all doing different things. And talk to God. Don't you, or whatever you call it, your goddess, your higher self. Oh, I do think they're different. But and be authentic to yourself, and just, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this. This is blah, 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 blah. Just pour your heart out. Write if you can. Read old poetry that you've done. It is like earth's pain, absolutely. We are so connected right now to the mother. And yeah, so, yeah. She's winning, but grow with the flow. That's beautiful. And flow with the grow. It's so lovely. And it's awakening, enlightenment, any of this stuff is not a one-day wonder. Yeah. Enlightenment is attained through discipline. Enlightenment is maintained through discipline. So we just keep, I couldn't remember years back to shouting, God, you're just never satisfied. I've had a lot of shout. Yeah, you want more from me. Yeah. How much more? But yes. We're brave, we're women, we're amazing. Yeah. There is actually, I do want to, I've got it here. I don't think I do. I think she's here, but I think she's not. There was such a beautiful let's say the poor. Nah. Nope. I don't think I can find it right now. I thought I could. I thought it was right there waiting for us. Let's hope I can get it quick, quick, quick. And above all, I mean, Trista actually had such a beautiful thing about forgiving ourselves and not blaming ourselves for too much, which is easier said than done for some of us. No, I can't find this. And that's okay. Let us. I do want to finish off with some kind of a prayer to that. There must be lots here. I've been praying all day. And why not? You know, oh yes, Millie put there, like, I feel like I don't, I'm just, personally, I'm just doing a lot of like, sacred music for now. But that's just for me. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so the wound is becoming the womb, which we are in this, so we need to gestate. And just remember that the more beautiful thoughts you have, the better, more beautiful your babies are. So that's why we need to just find our ways very quickly and connect into that beautiful web. Just put our hands out. You don't need to be, because sometimes it's not happening in truth. It's always happening in truth wave, but truth wave ain't there. And you're stuck on a bus and you need to just like ground. You just go to the bathroom and sit in the bathroom and cry and ground. And just put your hand on your heart, one hand on your heart, the other on your solar plexus. Yeah. So, the great cosmic web, the cosmic web of communication on all levels. Yeah. The web is being rewoven, and the spider. Yeah. She's the keeper of the ancient web, the cosmic net, Indra's net, the web of stars, the mycelium web, the ancestral web, and the web of your own destiny, all woven into one. We're just women. We do this. That's why we were we were revered by men, because we bore children. I don't think they were so stupid. We bore children. We were the mothers. We made food. We gathered. They were the hunters. We did so much without the woman, without the mother. Oh, that was also just so beautiful. I don't know, it's not related, but it obviously it is related. She didn't speak. I saw an African woman walking down the street, and she had this very interesting. They make these like bead belts, and I actually had done it for my fashion designing stuff at the time. So I was like, love these. I know all about these bead belts, and I had such a collection of vintage, very old African beadwork. And so I stopped her in the street. I said, "What is your belt?" And it was like really with plastic tacky beads. And she was just so excited that first of all, a white woman had noticed, because I said, "I've never seen that." She said, no, you won't ever see this pattern. She said, because my son has married into another tribe. So I wove both our patterns together into a belt that I wear all the time. And I thought that was just so, so beautiful. She hates the heat. I'm thinking of moving to the snow. Where? Oh, that's so horrid. Yeah, we would get that in South Africa. You smell the bleach in the water. Yuck. Yeah. Precious water. And don't think too hard what you're drinking. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what women did, nursing and babies and teaching. We've come a long way, hey, but it's been like a very, very, very hard battle. And we don't want this hard battle. We want just to do it with ease and grace. And just nurture our becoming. So, great mother, let's just be quiet for a little while, just a short little invocation. Great mother of light and shadow, womb of the earth, cosmic weaver of souls, let my wound become the womb, let my grief become gold, let the sacred spider weave through me, the new web of creation. May my heart hurt open and not shut down, and may the world be rewoven through love, lineage, and luminous remembrance. And the great, amazing, luminous sisterhood. Enjoy. It is absolutely, Debs. Yeah. Because we are being called to, we in our goddess. But the Empress is very practical as well. She's of the earth. She's not like the High Priestess. She's sexual. She walks the earth with her big hips. And she wipes snotty noses. I remember in South Africa when I was working with the people there, and I just thought, you can't. There's a saying I know. I don't know where it comes from. My parents. You can't teach a hungry man about God. You have to give them food first. So my heart is still breaking there, but it's okay. So beautiful, beautiful one. We are hammered. Yes, so much stuff. Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, she worked in, okay. Because a lot of I don't know what they did in America, but here and in England, the women went to, they made weapons. It's very mild. It's like even 40. What is it now? It's very mild. It's way too mild. Yeah. It's 11 for night time. It's like warm. So I love us all so much, beautiful ones, and we'll see you tomorrow at 1400 hours Eastern with Trista, and that's going to be really interesting. I know it's going to be just something beautiful. Okay, my lovelies, have the most beautiful, beautiful day. Love, peace, strength, courage. Love, light, and tears. Enjoy the journey. Yeah, wallow a little bit, but not too much. Okay. Go down to the water. Love you all so much. We're so brave. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here.